So the next speaker will be from ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil's OPAS update by Jayanth Mondi, Data Science Advisor, Global Operations, ExxonMobil Services and Technology Private Limited. Please welcome him on the stage.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. I know we are a bit late on time. Let me introduce myself. I'm Jayanth Mondi, part of the Bangalore Technology Center here, kind of filling in for Tyler Soderstrom, who is the Emerging Technology Strategy Lead and part of the OPAS, Forum from Exxon. I would want to kind of quickly go through some of the quick updates, reflect on some of the journey that we've had in the OPA system, and then give a quick update on the future roadmap, the key highlights that we've seen, and the future roadmap that we are kind of expecting. Thanks to Ravi, he has covered a few elements of these where OPA essentially is where we are kind of looking at transitioning from closed proprietary to open, secure, and standard-based systems that would essentially accelerate innovation and value creation. Without dwelling too much into the details, this is important for us as end users is because a lot of these features of interoperability, optionality, portability, all of these would bring in the value drivers that we see for the large-scale investments that these ask for. And at the same time, for the vendor space, it's not a zero-sum game where you could potentially expand the user's consumer space by extending these technologies that could be applicable for other industries as well. Apart from that, for the end users, it reduces the barrier for new technologies with potentially AI coming into the space also. But the key, the base foundational layer needs to be ready for the future usage. At the same time, the lifecycle costs, I think it was referred earlier as well during the discussion, Karthik has mentioned, the lifecycle costs would also be brought down by lowering the total cost of ownership of all the different systems, and at the same time, having a secure and adaptable design. So this is the journey that we had as ExxonMobil in the OPA space. It started off as, from what I understood more from Tyler, is that it started off as an obsolescence problem that we've seen at multiple different sites of ours with limited time span. So that led to us to look at how do we fix this problem, but at the same time also consider not to be in a similar situation going forward. And that's where we were kind of looking out for options, and the open models that are available was something that we were kind of trying to explore in detail. And we kind of collaborated with the open group and found and was part of the founding team of the OPA forum, with the key intent of bringing the vendors and the end users onto the same table to understand and drive and also adapt the standards that are necessary to actually have an open and interoperable system. Apart from that, we've started off as the standards have progressed and we've had enough strength in the OPAF. We've kind of started off with a pilot scale plant and set up a test bed at Houston, where we were kind of trying to look at pre-commercial components, testing out the pre-commercial components that the vendors were providing. And later it evolved into a lighthouse project, wherein which the actual operational site obsolete DCS system was completely replaced with the OPA-enabled DCS systems. And lately and recently, we've also had another a small-scale plant that had the OPA solution being deployed at another plant in Baton Rouge of a chemical plant or chemical terminal at Baton Rouge. So the key benefit, what we see that OPA has to bring in going forward would be the total cost of ownership. That would be the key determining factor that would accelerate the innovation and value creation. And having said this, yes, OPA is real. We've seen as part of our resins finishing plant at the Baton Rouge facilities, which was not a complete integrated or refining complex, but big enough with around 1,000 input-output IOs. You had a lot of utility system, separation systems, and it had enough complexity to kind of establish the validation of the concept of OPA. And a lot of the OPA principles and the standards were used as part of the DCS replacement. Some of these are like the virtualizations, container-based software updates, and the OPC UA elements for communication. Not just OPA is ready as real, but we've recently, as part of the Anchorage Chemical Terminal, based out of the Baton Rouge facility that we have, it's a midstream metering and storage terminal that we have, where it was predominantly manually operated with probably few analog systems. And what this particular project, what we've done recently, that enabled us the end-to-end automation and at the same time bring in a lot of the control and monitoring to a central location that we did not have earlier. At the same time, aligning with the OPA standards as a whole. The key message here, or the key difference between the Lighthouse project and this terminal project, or the chemicals terminal project, is that this was run as a project, as a commercial project, rather than an R&D effort, where the business was driving a lot of the use case so that we are ready for the future as well, or having the flexibility for future. And then we had a competitive bidding as well process that was done, wherein which we've actually mentioned OPA requirements to be incorporated in our request for proposals. Apart from that, it was a true multi-vendor solutions where we had, I think if I'm not wrong, PXC, CSI, AS Rock, and Supermicro as the different vendors suite that we were kind of collaborating with. And as a system integrator, we've closely worked with them to make sure that the hardware is, or the software is cognizant to the hardware maturity in that space. And a couple of weeks earlier, I think this project is completed and it's fully commissioned and it's operational at the ACT. Going forward, having established that, yeah, OPA is real and it is commercially ready, it doesn't stop us. There are still a lot more improvements that we would expect going forward. And a few of them, I think Karthik was referring to in the earlier discussion as well. We do also see a few of similar pieces where we would expect more field-proven components, which are aligning to the OPA's standards. That is one of the key things where we would want to decentralize the hardware and the software and have these modular IOs and a robust system architecture, orchestration, and an integrated system management. The other key thing that we see is as part of ACT that we've seen compared to the Lighthouse project was the maturity in the vendor space that is happening in the software layer. But there is still scope to improve in that space where we would want to prioritize first-party vendor-supported software so that that would minimize a lot of the stitching that needs to happen between the different components. And at the same time, for the ACT, we necessarily do not have a lot of vendors that we've included, but and because simply it was not a complex piece there. But going forward, whenever looking at the life cycle management of the overall system, we would not want to be vendor locked in as well, where the different the technology stack should be open and modular, so that you could have ready off the shelf components being plugged in and at the point of removal. And I think earlier in the day, Octavio was mentioning about the software-defined automation. We see that to be the key value driver, because that would be the key for decentralizing the hardware and the software pieces. In summary, yes, we've seen a good success in part of our Lighthouse project and the recent ACT project as well. We would still continue to think about on how we want to implement some of these at our systems while developing the internal capabilities. But at the same time, we are kind of looking at the external vendor market for more certified products. And yes, we are seeing more certifications that are progressing nowadays, but we would want to be more open to that. At the same time, the expansive marketplace that has to offer. Yep. I think that's all what I had. Thank you.